welcome to the Other 14 FC podcast, your new home for everything not top six. I'm Alex, Crystal Palace fan.
And I'm Tom, a West Ham fan.
And tired of your team being last on match of the day? Well, we're going to give your team the flowers they deserve and shine a light on the other 14 teams in the league. So, Tom, how was your weekend anyway?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. As you know, I'm in the process of moving, so my flat is just full of boxes, and I realise I do this thing where I hoard instruction manuals and Allen keys, it seems. I can't tell you how many I've found where I've just like, I don't either own the item anymore or I've never needed to pick up the instruction manual, and I've got 59 Allen keys that I don't know what they belong to.
Mate, I've got exactly the same. Literally today I was looking for these screws for a garden table we got from some mates and went into the cupboard where all that shit's in it, and yeah, I looked at pieces that I was like, why do I have this in here? When am I ever going to need these instruction manuals? But the stupid thing is, I didn't even throw the fuckers away. I
just looked at them and went, you might need them one day. Mate, you absolutely might need them.
Found a random key that someone left at our house after a party like 2 years ago.
It might be an important key, so back in the drawer it goes.
Exactly. I was like, I have no idea whose this is and where. It's
what about you? How was your weekend, mate?
Yeah, went up to Manchester for the game and see my partner's family because they're all Salford Reds up there. It's as good a day you could have. I mean, the weather was brilliant in Manchester, and we'll get into it later, but I was expecting the same old that we do at City. But yeah, I mean, it was good that they're all United fans because they couldn't give me any stick for City winning. I would have just been like, "Oh, City fan now, are you?" That's it. Don't
think United fans are giving anyone stick this season anyway. But that's not what this podcast's about.
Exactly. But yeah, apart from that, I had the usual trouble. Trains getting back. Absolutely got screwed on the way back from Manchester Piccadilly yesterday. Ended up leaving the house at 4, not getting back to London till about 10:30. Absolutely
you're a real trooper for going to all these Palace away games because the train travel in this country is not the one.
Yeah, I really need to start being more responsible like you and stop drinking and actually drive to these games to give myself a bit of freedom for it all. But yeah, I think watching Palace without a beer is still difficult, even though we're doing better this year.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, cool. Okay, mate, let's take a break and then we'll get through to the game week roundup for this weekend.
Let's do it.
Okay, we're back. So, Tom, I think where we should probably start this weekend is semi-automated offside being introduced to the Prem. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I know I have quite a few thoughts from being at the game itself.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it's excellent. It's such a good use of the technology. I think I was sort of bewildered why it hasn't been in use for longer, given its use in the Champions League, La Liga and Serie A. But yeah, I thought it made offside things a lot clearer, a lot quicker. Decisions were made. So yeah, as a at-home viewer this weekend, it was a nice experience. But how was yours at the ground? Obviously, Eze's was the first one.
Yeah. Do you know what? I was there and I hadn't had as many beers as I usually do before a game, if I'm being brutally honest, because I was with my girlfriend.
Because it was 12:30, yeah.
Because it was 12:30 as well. You've been with me at a 12:30 game.
True.
Yeah. But I didn't realise that it would still get checked. So I was there thinking, okay, semi-automatic, they're going to know straight away it's going to be done. So when VAR popped up, I was giving it the big and being like, what's going on here? Why are we still doing this? And I did it like for 2 of the offsides that came up, and I'm pretty sure everyone around me was like, this mug needs to calm it down. He
doesn't realise that it's semi-automated weekend. So,
but once it was done and how quickly they got to the actual result was amazing. It was such a game changer.
It's much quicker. So I'm excited that technology has been brought into the Premier League, and hopefully it's a part that reduces the amount of influence and time that VAR has been a part of since its introduction.
It's that, isn't it? It's just not having the referees draw those stupid fucking lines anymore. I can have faith in this technology, even if it is wrong. I can have faith in it compared to those people in Stockley Park bringing out those stupid goddamn lines.
It's just about how quick it makes the decision for me, and I think we've both been in the ground where you don't get to see the pictures or anything, and sometimes it takes 2-3 minutes that feel like an eternity, especially sort of late in the game. So anything to bring that down to make the match goers experience better is better in my book. As long as we're getting to the right decisions as well.
I still hate that you can't really celebrate a goal properly anymore. Because that being said, that Eze goal, the third one, I celebrated it like it was mad. I was on my chair and everything because I was like, "There's no way it can be offside." And then
Oh, well,
yeah,
I'm glad you did. We'll obviously get onto that
yeah,
game, but I'm glad you got to celebrate it fully.
yeah, cool. Okay, so where do you want to start for the weekend? I think we should probably choose between Newcastle, Man United, and Wolves Spurs.
Yeah, let's touch on Newcastle's match first, I think. I think they were just excellent. Obviously, first off, let's just sort of say we hope Eddie Howe gets better.
Yeah,
Sort of very, very sad news that he's in hospital, but by all sounds things he's okay.
yeah.
And he's sort
It
of
was
talking to
pneumonia,
family.
wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it came out today that yeah, it was confirmed as pneumonia. So I think he'll miss a couple more matches, but yeah, just hope his health gets better really. But on the pitch, his side under the watching eye of Jason Tyndall were absolutely superb. They were just like carving through Man United and just pressurizing them all over the pitch. They really reminded me of Marcelo Bielsa's Leeds at their like best, where
yeah.
they just sort of went man to man with the opposition and were right in their face. So you saw how many times did United like receive a pass and there was a Newcastle body
Just
with like
oh,
touch tight to them.
it was just all over them. Like every bit of the pitch, they were better than United, and
Mhm.
it just showed like the care the players had for the Newcastle team as well. I honestly thought, and I think we've talked about it a bit to each other. I thought Newcastle would win that League Cup and just be on the beach for the rest of the season.
Who
But
could blame them? Like
yeah,
if they had won the cup and then had a bit of a hangover or anything, that was their first trophy in so many years. Like it would have been well in their right to have a bit of a hangover from it. But they they've they've almost been used it as to galvanize themselves, and they look in excellent
they look the
position
favourites.
for a Champions League spot now.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? I mean, you'd have them banker on to maybe even snatch third away from Forest, but I think
For
we
sure.
need to touch on Harvey Barnes for sure because he pulled out form. I mean, I haven't really noticed it, but he pulled out form that I saw him doing for Leicester against Palace constantly, bossed
Hmm.
the game. Just that second goal he got was. It looked
It was
so easy,
perfect.
wasn't it? Like, it looked so easy to
Yeah.
do, but so difficult in reality. It was
It
just,
was that was perfect to watch, just pure sort of like skill and like just the finish is excellent as well. I mean, Harvey Barnes has he's struggled at Newcastle with injuries, but there's absolutely no doubting there's talent there, and I'm really glad that he's staying fit at the moment, and he's proving it week in week out that he can play with this Newcastle team, and at the moment, like they're going to have Gordon back at some point. They've got Jacob Murphy's been a revelation on the other side. They've got options in their wide spots, which didn't feel the case last season, where they kind of struggled to. Uh, yeah, they kind of struggled with rotating those wide players. Um, so yeah, Barnes absolute excellent. I think one sort of position group that I really want to talk about is the midfield for Newcastle of Joe Linton, Tonali, and Bruno Guimaraes. I think they just complement each other so perfectly. Like that they can all rotate. You've got Joe Linton sort of box to box prowess. You've got Tonali has just got an engine on him and will go for the full 95 minutes. There's that run at the end of the match where he's sort of just sprinting through the midfield and he's been playing like that all game long and it's the 94th minute and Bruno Guimaraes obviously he got the last goal and celebrated like he could be at Newcastle for the rest of his career. Like obviously we've seen players kiss the badges of clubs and then go on to other things, but Bruno, from everything that I've heard, he seems to love it at Newcastle.
Dave, yeah, I feel like those players have really bought into everything that Eddie Howe's done now, and they're just going strength to strength. My lots of things I wanted to take away from that game, but probably the main funnest bit for me was watching it with my missus' family. They'd all like sat down and like completely deluded to think they would have a chance, but I think I said it last week. Basically, any team should be looking to go and pick up points off United now.
100%, yeah. This always looked like a tough match for United, given Newcastle's form, and Newcastle absolutely put them to the sword. I think Man United have got our next team coming up. If we sort of transition onto the Wolves Spurs game from the weekend. I think that's Wolves' next fixture is against Man United, and after their absolute smashing of Spurs 4-2, they should feel very confident about that match as well. What were your sort of takeaways from Wolves Spurs?
So I feel like my notes for this was quite easy from watching Match of the Day. It was literally say the opposite of everything Dion Dublin said. So he kind of went in and just went, yeah, Spurs bad, Spurs bad, Spurs bad. And there
The
was
Wolves
nothing.
made them
Yeah,
bad.
exactly.
Wolves made them look really bad from the first couple of minutes. Like they were in their face and they were hungry to get goals in this
It
game.
was literally that. You could see them putting pressure on. They knew when to go, when to stay, and they just basically knew how to, yeah, take advantage of how
Hmm.
weak Spurs really are. And you've got to say it's Strand Larson up top again,
He's banging them in.
banging them in for
He's
fun.
Yeah, and he's been a massive part of them winning four consecutive Premier League matches in a row for the first time, which is crazy when you consider where they were when Vitor Pereira took over in the relegation zone, and now they're in Champions League form. Obviously, they've gone above my West Ham, and yeah, they're
Hey,
absolutely
it's all
sensational.
about points and pints. That's what it is. That's all it
Yeah,
is.
the scenes of Pereira in the pub after are absolutely heartwarming. It feels like an old school thing to do. Like it's not something you see in sort of modern day football. So seeing Pereira celebrate with the Wolves fans at the local pub after was very heartwarming.
It really was. What did you make of the goals in the game, though? Because I'm not gonna lie, I looked at the first few goals and I was like, well, this is a game of pretty dreadful goals to concede for both teams at points.
Yeah, I don't think either team were defending very well, for sure. But I think Eight Nouri's was nice, and I think he's possibly the best attacking fullback in out of the other 14.
No,
We might
no.
need to dig into that, but I mean, he got a goal and an assist in this match, and as an attacking player, his defending can improve. I think.
I have a very big stigma against him because I remember a couple of seasons ago we had a very blatant dive in front of the Homesdale, and it's always been in the back of my head, and I'm just there like, oh, I don't know.
Niggling away at you, but no, I mean he's been excellent for Wolves, and there's obviously like as there is with a lot of Wolves players talk about them moving on, but if they can keep this squad together, maybe make a couple of additions, and with Vita Pereira getting a summer in charge, like Wolves could be looking up the table next season rather than where they've spent the last couple of seasons looking sort of down the table and over their shoulders. And obviously Cunha was back with this match. Like they've managed to do this run without him while he was suspended, and then he comes back and he scores the fourth goal. I think it was.
Yeah, did you see his celebration as well? Because all you hear in the media about him is like, yep, he's going to be going, he's definitely going to be leaving.
Hmm.
And he's there at the end, like, pointing the badge and giving the fans that. I know we said, like, earlier, you see people kissing the badge, it can mean anything, but it's kind of that Brazilian care, isn't it? And you just feel like,
You hope it means something
yeah,
whenever it happens. Obviously, being cynical and everything, it's unlikely. It's unlikely that he'll spend the rest of his career at Wolves, being only 25. But you hope he stays for the Wolves fans, for them to be able to enjoy him more, and if he's celebrating that, then there's absolutely no reason why he wouldn't stay. If he loves the club, he dotted around a little bit beforehand, so he may have found a home at Wolves.
yeah, you'd hope so. I just want to see, well, I would like to go up to Molyneux and see it rocking because a few times I've been up there, it's not really been rocking too much, so it'd be good to see it all being a lot of fun in the Black Country.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I guess moving on to another game where there was quite a lot of shoddy defending by my team. City 5, Palace 2. I mean, I guess I can take this to start with, and I'll start at the main place for me. I like Daichi Kamada. I think he's going to be a good player for Palace, but he keeps giving us reasons to doubt him. And that foul for on was a foul
On
on
De
De
Bruyne,
Bruyne.
yeah.
Yeah, just outside. As soon as that foul's made, I'm there like this is it. This is make or break. If this free kick goes in, it's game over for us. The annoying thing, free kick, I was like in my head, too central, never going to score. Then I looked at the wall Dean Henderson set up, and I had seen the two City players stood there with no one behind them, and I was there like, he's going to go through that gap. But I was like, Dean Henderson will cover his like closer post, he'll be fine. And then yeah, bang off the post goes in. I want to be. I know Dean Henderson used his body weight and he went the wrong way, and that's kind of what ruined it. But I still think it's a little bit unsavable when it's coming off the post like that. Would you disagree or?
No, I mean it's a pretty tough one to save. Like I think I'll give Dean Henderson the sort of benefit of the doubt there. But I mean, as you say, like with Daichi Kamada, like I'm just really like confused as to why he's playing as a defensive midfielder, as like one of the two eights, rather than like when I watched him for Frankfurt, he excelled as one of the attacking two, sort of where Eze and Sarr have been playing. And I know he's struggled there for Palace since joining, but he doesn't strike me as a player who can transition into a deeper role. And I think Saturday just absolutely got caught out. Like once City started attacking, it was Kamada just looked all out of sorts, and also Lermo was playing as the left centre back in this match.
Yeah.
Both of those, obviously, they're both out of position, but it really felt like they were out of position and really felt like they got exploited. Hughes was on the bench though. Was he injured or?
I think he's been returning from a bit of illness and injury for a
Right.
while. The thing is, though, Kamada in the first 30, I was stood there like, he's actually not having a bad game. He's doing pretty well. And it was just that moment. And as soon as that moment came, you saw like the confidence go in him. I think what
Yeah,
you say about Lerma is correct. We were massively missing Mark, and it's a very worrying sign for next season because he's going to go in the summer. And you see him in games where he's just there, like literally like that, calm down.
yeah.
As
I mean, he's
soon
absolute rock at the back for you, is Gahey. So, I mean, how many centre backs do Palace have at the moment? Because you play three at the back, so you would sort of argue you need five or six.
Well, we had Chalobah at the beginning of the season, didn't we? Lost
When he
him.
went back to
Yeah,
Chelsea, yeah,
and then Richards has come in. I didn't think we needed Chalobah. We had Richards could have done the job anyway, but we need that other one, which was Chaddy Riyad,
who
who's
got
then whole
yeah.
season injury. Yeah, so it is worrying when we lose Mark, but you got to hope the money will lose him for, even though it'll probably be about 40, 50 if I'm being brutally honest. Like, you got to hope we can replace him there. And I think also, just to finish off on that game, I think I should probably say some positive stuff. Like, we did really well to
I
begin
mean,
the
for the
game. Yeah,
first 30 minutes, Palace were excellent. They were
yeah.
exploiting the space in City's defence. They were just cutting through them. Like they were defending well and then countering amazingly. It was really sort of like, wow, Palace. It felt like it was going to be another one of those Palace away days at Man
Mate,
City where they like add to the history of excellent away days. But
well, that's the thing. That's the first time I've seen us lose there since I went up when we got promoted in, was it 2013, 14?
2013, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's the first time I've been up there and seen us lose. I've been at that Townsend one where we won, the Conor Gallagher and
hmm
Lise one, the last year with the 2-2. So when we went 2-0 up, I was just stood there laughing, like, this is happening again.
I think that, yeah, obviously we touched on it earlier with the offsides, the semi-automated offside, and it was the correct decision. But I think like if Eze's goal had counted and it had gone 3-0, that's massive. I think them for Man City, like them not getting that third goal like in just really galvanized them, and they
Yeah,
just took the game to Palace. And all right, you go in at halftime 2-2, you sort of think like, right, we got to come out solid, and obviously conceding 2 minutes after half time is absolutely gutting. Like it happened to West Ham loads last season. We just like kept conceding after half time, and it's such a deflating feeling because it's just like, well, now we've just got really uphill like second half.
yeah, well, it was Glasner wanted to change basically and have more on midfield and taking JP off, but I think JP, even though he wasn't doing well, he was doing bits in attack. Even though he wasn't doing a lot in attack, he was still holding the ball up and giving us space to get out. And with Sarr up there, it just wasn't happening. And then they started suffocating us. Like, I don't want to talk about City too much, but I was in the second tier this time at City because I bought my tickets quite
Mm.
late, and I was looking down on it, and it's like, wow, we're getting like nothing, and they're pressing.
Yeah, Palace were just dropping deeper and deeper, and
Yeah,
it was just like then as soon as they started to try and come out and try and get some sort of goals back, they just left their
gaps.
back line so exposed, and yeah, unfortunately capitalised on that. So it wasn't a away day to remember for Palace, and it also wasn't an away day to remember for my West Ham against Liverpool.
Felt like it was going to be different for once. In all honesty, didn't it?
It really did. It really did.
I was there looking at my phone and I saw the equaliser come in, and I was like, "This is it. They're gonna take something away from Anfield for once, or
Well, like
even if
we in recent years at Anfield, we've absolutely capitulated after that first goal. And the first 30 minutes of this game, it really felt like, oh God, we're in for another long day. Like they were just opening us up, like creating chances. And then obviously we concede. But then really after the goal that we conceded and after around 30 minutes, we started to get on the ball a lot more, started creating a few chances. Like Kudus had a crazy effort that Allison tipped onto the bar.
yeah, I saw that.
And then like we entered sort of half time like, all right, there's something to build on. It's only 1-0 down at Anfield. And then the second half, I thought we absolutely went toe to toe with them. Like I thought we were really, really good. I think someone who absolutely deserves plaudits and also maybe a little bit of criticism is Lucas Paqueta for his performance. We absolutely saw the highs and lows of Paqueta in this match. So like he was dominating the game as like a quarterback almost, where he was like dropped down like into sort of a deeper sort of number six position, and also alongside the sort of defenders. But then he was playing these like long through balls like over the top, like onto Bowen and such, and was just in his absolute best. But then leading to the corner that led to the goal, he does the Paqueta thing where he feels a touch and he just goes over so dramatically, and like okay, he does get touched by the defender, but it's not enough to warrant the reaction.
I was going to
And
say
then
that's in
refs
man.
don't buy it anymore with
Nah, they
him.
don't. They really don't have it anymore at all. But I was just like, but if it was Liverpool when that happened, they're probably getting a free kick, aren't they? And
Well,
that's
if
at
it is,
Anfield as well.
well, there's also the push on Fulkrug, that in the goal where Van Dijk just gives him a slight nudge in the back, but it's clear enough to push Fulkrug off his mark and off balance, and then Van Dijk just heads it in. But we were never going to get that at Anfield, and it is a very small push, so it's like okay, that's fine, and we probably got away with
I was
one
about to say
earlier.
the handball you probably got away with, isn't it? I was looking at it and I was like, if there's a player around him, that probably gets given. Do you know what I mean? I think a little bit of VR's probably looked at that and been like, it's not affected play massively. It'd be harsh to give it. But if there's a couple of Liverpool players around, what was it, James Ward-Prowse, then it probably gets given.
Yeah, I mean, he is like just flinching. I don't think he knows anything about it, but his hand is so far out of his body that we've seen them given, especially in sort of the Champions League, that absolutely would have been given. But I was quite surprised that we got away with that, given how far away his hand was from his body. But yeah, so we came away with nothing from the game, but a good performance and something that hopefully we can sort of take into the rest of the season with
Well,
our
if that
next matches.
Falkirk header had gone in at the end, because you could see like
Oh,
the West Ham fan, there was a lot of West Ham fans seemingly left there at the end. If that had gone in, Jesus, could you imagine the limbs there would have been in that?
yeah, the away support was excellent, and I think that was sort of replicated on the pitch by like the not giving up or not going down, not capitulating. Sort of we under Lopetegui we played there a couple of well, we played Liverpool a couple of times earlier this season. I think both of the times Liverpool scored 5 goals against us. So yeah, it was obviously disappointing to lose 2-1, but it was a good enough performance that it sort of softened the blow a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I know we were talking about a penalty that should have been given in your game there. If we go to the Southampton Villa game where we had two penalties, I think can't say anything. There were definitely penalties in that game for sure, weren't they?
Yeah, I thought the second one may be a little bit soft, but then like saw some of the replays and was like, okay, yeah, he's put sort of knocked him off balance and everything. But then Ramsdale saves both
Yeah,
of them, and it just sort of goes to show like when you're down, you're really down with Southampton. So like obviously he saves the first one, and then less than 5 minutes later, Watkins scores a crazy karate kick. Like
it sounds stupid, but it's kind of one of those goals where you just throw your leg at it, isn't it? And you, maybe I'm doing him a very big disservice, but a bit of me is like you throw your leg at it, you just hope. But he's guided it straight over the keeper, hasn't he? And it's a thing of beauty.
Yeah, I mean, I think a player of his talent, he's definitely sort of meant it. Like, obviously, it maybe looks a little bit like more spectacular, but I mean, he knows what he's doing. Ollie Watkins in front of goal, seemingly. So, yeah. So obviously, that's a kick in the teeth for Saints. Like, they just saved the penalty and would hope that they could sort of bounce back from there. But really, Villa deserve to win this game. They had to work Saints down, which is probably well, you might look at the scoreline and go, "Oh, look, Southampton's conceded another 3 goals," and like,
Saints were doing well throughout the game. Like it took what till the 70th odd minute for them to get a
yeah,
goal, and you're thinking maybe they got a bit of a
exactly. They fought. They were getting deeper and deeper with their defense, which was obviously a bad sign in the sort of in the second half. But they made hard work of it for Villa up until sort of the first goal goes in, and then I think maybe you get heads dropped a little bit. The second goal comes pretty soon after, and then from that point, it's just all right. We just need to keep this keep this down really, like
yeah.
from or try and get something, like just get a consolation, just to give the fans something to cheer about. But then obviously in the last minute, there's the next penalty that again Ramsdale saves, but McGinn is the only one following it up. Like I
You'd
think
be so angry, weren't you, as a keeper after doing all that good work to see I can't remember which Southampton player it was just stood on the edge of the penalty area still. I should have been following McGinn.
and like McGinn's like 4 yards behind them when he starts running. Like they sort of like were talking on the commentary about whether it was encroachment by McGinn. I was like, he's not even anywhere near in the box. Like he's just the one that wants it the most, and he capitalised on it. And a fun little stat from that, with obviously McGinn scoring, they became the first team to have three substitutes score in the same match in Premier League history. So Unai Emery making moves off the bench.
It shows the depth they have, and it
Hmm.
makes me think like more with the Champions League when I know they're 3-0 down at the no,
Three
it's
one,
3-1 at
3-1.
the
Yeah,
moment,
yeah,
but it makes me worried, obviously, because we got them in the FA Cup, that even if they did get through in the Champions League, they'd probably have a good enough squad to field two strong teams for an FA Cup semi final on a Saturday and then a Champions League semi final on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Like, they've
yeah.
done
Well,
some real business
obviously,
there.
shout out to Daniel Marlon scoring in this match. Obviously, I watched a load of him when he played for Borussia Dortmund, and he was kind of a frustrating player. But he got not selected for Villa's Champions League squad. So for him to score in the Premier League, it's sort of a nice like kudos to him for getting that. So yeah,
They'll be gutted not to have him in the Champions League. They just need. How do you think they go? I know we probably shouldn't be touching the Champions League, but how do you
I
think
mean
they go in
everyone
that
will know
game?
by the time this goes out.
Yeah, true.
But I think Villa Park under the lights, I would never say never. I think PSG are very strong. They look like the best team in Europe right now. So I think it's going to be difficult, but like Villa get 2 goals and then it can go to extra time. I would never say never. Villa have got excellent record at home as well. So
Yeah, I'm gonna have my Villa shirt on tonight for them, so hopefully that gets a bit of worry. And I'll also be praying that Marco Asensio takes a penalty at Wembley. I'll be absolutely praying. Famous last
oh
words.
yeah,
Probably
yeah,
curse
two
myself.
bad
But
penalties from Asensio in this game.
yeah.
But like we should obviously just talk about Villa in the hunt for the top four as well now. Like I think that gives them a really good base to get in there. Well, I should say top five as get into the Champions League, which comes on to our next team as well. In Forest, suffering a late defeat to Everton 1-0.
Moyes masterclass. That's what
We
we
we called it. We
witnessed.
called it
We
Moyes Masterclass.
we absolutely called it. It was just yeah, it was everything I think we expected from that game,
It
wasn't
was
it?
an awful match to watch. I think both Forest and Everton fans will agree that it was just two managers who wanted to disrupt the other team as much as possible. Neither team wanted the ball necessarily. It was like, oh no, you can have the ball, but we'll break it up and then run on the counter against you. And it was like two teams doing that. It really sort of like they offset each other for a long time, and it was a proper scrappy affair. Really sort of like give like loads of giveaways. Neither team had control, and then it looked like it all game long. It was like right, this has got 0-0 draw written all over it, unless someone makes a mistake. And and that was Murillo for
He's
Forest.
probably the last person you expect to make that mistake as well, as because he's been so good for Forest all season long. Like, got Forest fans at work, and they're just saying like we're scared we're going to lose him. He's been absolutely incredible. But this is the thing I always feel at every Palace game I go to, when we get a corner in a last like in an injury time, and we're either 0-0 or 1-0 up. I'm like, we're going to concede from this. We're going to concede from it, and it just shows like I guess Forest kind of overcommit. Is it overcommitting or is it just a mistake? It's probably just a mistake, isn't it?
I think it's just the mistakes. They do have the two men back there, sort of like which is standard on an attacking corner, and it's just like Murillo, as you say, is the least likely of their players to do that, but he is a young player still. I think he's had such a meteoric rise this season, especially with Forest, but he is still a young player. He's going to make mistakes. He'll learn from that, and I guess for Forest's point of view, it's just hopefully it doesn't have too much of an impact in the race for top five. I think they'll be very happy that there's now confirmed five Champions League spots. I think that might ease up a little bit, but there's still I think four teams or five teams in the hunt for those three spots. So after the top two. Um,
Do you think they're feeling a bit of pressure? Like, I've definitely could tell the fans were feeling the pressure, but do you think the team are finally feeling the pressure of, like, that Champions League spot maybe being there and actually getting over the line now?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. I think it was they. I mean, I think they've lost to Forest and now Villa in recent weeks, which is obviously tough to take given they're the rivals for those spots. I do think Forest will have enough in in the tank to get over and get one of those spots, but obviously losing on Saturday really didn't help.
Yeah.
They'll hopefully have Elanga back fully fit and Aina back fully fit for the Man United game. So that'll be two massive parts.
Yeah. Just touch on Everton. Did you see the limbs in the away end? They absolutely loving it. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, incredible from Everton.
yeah. What is it? It's the stat, I think. It must just, it can't be for Everton, it must be Everton under Moyes. But every game Decore scored in, they've ended up winning. It's just, that's an incredible stat for him.
Yeah, I
And
mean, Moyes has got him playing like peak Fellaini or Thomas Soucek, or right, like just with clutch goals. That's what Moyes does. He unearths a midfield gem, a tall midfield gem. From an Everton point of view, they clearly, obviously, don't have too much to play for except for pride for the rest of the season. But they played Broha as the striker in this game, giving Beto a rest, and he did all right. Like Armando Broha, he has been linked with so many of the other 14. Like we get linked to him almost every season.
yeah, we
I'm
even
sure
got linked with
Palace
him
do
this
as
summer.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's had a weird career where obviously he's just dotted about a couple of loans. I don't think he's been incredible anywhere he's gone. He was all right when he was at Southampton,
That
but
was, I was literally
keeps
about to
getting
say
injured.
Southampton is the one in my head that I remember him for, and then it's like fall off cliff, and then yeah, I Moyes could probably,
I mean, he's clearly he's having a look at him because obviously his loan is due to run out, and it's whether they bring him back, whether that's permanent or on another loan. But yeah, he did all right in this match. He
yeah.
had a couple of good moments for sure.
Yeah, I guess my one standout thing from the match was the nut shot to Nico Williams. You said you hadn't seen it, had you? But oh, Jesus, it was just
No,
like
I must have missed that.
absolute rocket into his private zone, and yeah, I'm surprised he stayed on the pitch in all honesty because I would have been absolutely done for, even though it's a little target, I guess. But
He'd have been taken straight to the hospital.
cool. And then moving on to the Brighton Leicester 2. Well, two more penalties in this game as well. I think pretty much a fair result for the game, would you say?
Yeah, I think so. I think from a Brighton point of view, they were poor defensively against
I mean, they've
Leicester,
been.
which
I don't want to say it as Brian, just as a Palace fan, but they've been pretty poor defensively for large portions of the season. I know they had the good run after we beat them at the Amex, but large parts of the season they just do not look up to it, especially with Lewis Dunk in the back, well, in their centre of defence. I think his
well, he's getting on
time's
now, isn't he?
yeah, I think his time is pretty much done. But watch the end of this game and just they looked like Leicester had all control. In all honesty, at the end, I know at the beginning apparently it was Brighton all one way, but
Yeah, I mean, from a Brighton, like they if they could have finished in this game, it could have been 4-0 before Leicester even got on the attack. Like Yankuba Minte and Simon Adingra, the two wingers, did not have their shooting boots on today. They kept like just miss-hitting it or anything, and they kind of the two penalties for Brighton were absolute like nailed on penalties in my opinion.
yeah.
But
But if you're saying that,
I was surprised that they weren't given on the field and that the referee needed VAR to intervene because both of them at first glance was like straight away penalty.
you say that, but there was a what was it? McCarthy,
Oh,
McCarthy.
the Casey McAteer one.
Yeah, the McAteer one down the other end, which looked identical to one of the Brighton penalties that got given, with just a big push out him and pretty near the face as well. So you just
Yeah, I
wondering.
was surprised that that wasn't also a penalty, and it wasn't even really mentioned on the commentary that they were like that the VAR even really looked at it. But McAteer is running into the box with the ball, and he just receives two hands to his chest and goes over from from the Brighton defender. I was quite surprised that that one wasn't either given or looked at for longer.
It was strange, but then I just it's the inconsistency. We're probably going to say it every week. I'll get a swear jar that every time I bring up referee inconsistency, I'll put something in it. But that's the annoying thing, isn't it? But I mean, looking a bit more at Leicester, it was a change of formation really that worked for Van Nistelrooy. Basically, bringing a bit more into the midfield, giving Ricardo Pereira, who I think is a top player. Like whenever I've seen him play in
Hmm.
person, he has been absolutely brilliant. And yeah, you got to wonder why he hasn't looked to do this in games previous, and if he had, would there? How many hours did they go without a goal? Something.
13 hours. They broke their goal drought, so they last scored in the league in January, and they've played 13 hours of football since then between scoring. So yeah, the celebrations from the Leicester fans after that first goal went in, which was a bit of a scuffed effort that kind of like squirmed its way past Verbruggen, the Brighton keeper, but. Absolutely hats off to the Leicester fans celebrating that goal. I can't imagine the relief that they felt but yeah, I mean, it was a better performance from Leicester. They definitely sort of felt like they were fighting, but it's like, all right, has it come a little too late for this?
Yeah, you gotta wonder what's happening with like the managerial situation at Leicester. Do you think they keep Van Nistelrooy on to the end of the season? He's not really gonna want to go managing a championship, I guess. Like,
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he stayed next season, as obviously doesn't have a lot of cachet with the Leicester fans. It's not like he sort of played there or anything like that. So it feels like I honestly thought that they might have parted ways with him a bit like Southampton had done with Juric, but they've obviously kept him. See what they've got until the end of the season, I guess. But yeah, I would be surprised as things stand if they ran it back with Van Nistelrooy next season.
yeah, do you think that's Brighton's European hopes done? Still in it, I guess, but the game we're moving on to, Bournemouth Fulham, I feel like the result in that game's kind of dampened Brighton's chances a bit.
Yeah, I think these three teams are kind of struggling for consistency, and that's just sort of left them a little bit adrift from like the teams who look like they'll be sort of nailed on for one of the Europe spots, and these three teams will kind of just be hoping that it the qualifying spots drop down. Like I know there's been talk about up to 11 Premier League teams getting into Europe next season. That like has to be like loads of things have to fall into place for
Yeah,
that, like winning the like Europe English teams winning the Champions League, etc. So it probably won't be 11, but I guess these are hoping that like eighth or ninth might get one of those, might get the Conference League spot. And yeah, obviously, sort of moving on to the Bournemouth 1-0 victory over Fulham last night. This was a weird game. I don't know how much how you caught of it on your travels back, but so like Semenyo scores in the first minute, and then it just really struggled as a match after that. I think both teams just
really.
really sort of cancelled each other out. There was Fulham just absolutely have no finishing in this game. They created a fair enough chances to get at least a draw out of this match, but all of their finishing was just straight down the throat of Kepa.
I just don't understand Fulham this season. Like, they seem to blow so hot and cold. Like, literally, we talked 2 weeks ago after the FA Cup game against them, and I was like, I don't get how Fulham are on the table. Then they go and absolutely destroy Liverpool. There's some great finishing in that game, great set-up play. And then they go to this game. I've only been able to see the highlights, obviously, because I was on the train, but I just don't. I
They're the
don't
most
get where it all goes.
they're consistently inconsistent. They won one, they lose one. They won one, they lose one as their in their recent form, and that's gonna dampen any hope of European football next season at Craven Cottage. If they continue doing that until the end of the season, they need to dig in and get a bit of a run going.
They really do. But Semenyo, I love him as a player. Like, I'd give anything to have him at my club. Like, he is.
My partner is Ghanaian, and she really doesn't rate him because he never seems to turn up for Ghana. And then whenever we watch Bournemouth, he scores, and she just gets more and more frustrated. One thing I do want to mention about the Bournemouth Fulham game was just sort of the intriguing battle on the right side of Fulham's attack and left side of Bournemouth's defence, where Milos Kerkez was up against Ryan Sessegnon, and then later Adama Traore when he came on. And I thought Kerkez did absolutely really well in this match against those two. He got out a couple of times, but he won both of the duels overall, I thought. And then and then he started anticipating, which was really like interesting to see as well. Like when the ball was coming out to him, he was aggressive on the front foot, would step out and intercept the ball. Which can get you into trouble at times if you don't get it right, and obviously the wingers then behind you. But Kirkus did well, and
especially with their two tricky assignments, one after the other, Sessegnon and Traore. But I haven't seen many highlights, like I said, on it. But if I'll take your word from it, he did an outstanding job on it.
Yeah, decent player.
Cool. Then moving into Chelsea Ipswich, the Sunday game. I think I predicted a famous away day for Ipswich, and I was looking at it and I was like, I'm fucking know what I'm talking
I mean,
about
they
sometimes.
stormed to a 2-0 lead, and I was like watching it like, oh, okay, Ipswich, like you're gonna do the double over Chelsea this season. That would have been incredible for them.
Yeah. I didn't realise Delap didn't start the game for them either. Was he injured? Because he was still on the bench though. Do you know what was happening with that? Because I wasn't.
No, I didn't see why he didn't start.
I tried to investigate why, and then it was just flooded with apparently he has a release clause of 30 mil. So that's taken over.
That's all the news you're gonna get.
Yeah, you gotta feel for Ipswich though in this game. Like the two goals they had were pretty nice goals. You got Enciso, Sen and both up once again. Bright and lonely, so I'll try and be unbiased about it. But the second one, the cross in, it's either pretty perfect or Robert Sanchez should be doing better in goal to get it. What do you think on that?
I mean, Robert Sanchez should be doing better with a lot, but I'll give the credit to Enciso and Johnson. The way that they combined they both got a goal and an assist each for each other, so they combined really well. And Ben Johnson as well, obviously came from West Ham where he was playing mainly as a right back or a left back, but he's been deployed as like a right midfielder or maybe a right wing back in certain formations, but he's getting forward quite a lot at the moment with Ipswich. And yeah, I love to see him doing well because he's an academy boy from West Ham, and getting on the score sheet and providing an assist at Stamford Bridge would always put a smile on my face. And Ipswich got 4 points off Chelsea this season, which I know they're going to get relegated, and obviously it's how many of the team can they keep together. As you mentioned, Delap's release clauses, all the news at the moment. But the Ipswich fans will have this season to remember that they got 4 points off Chelsea, which was largely helped at the end sort of by Palmer saving Ipswich to get a point. Like Alex Palmer was putting in mad saves at the end of that game to make sure they got.
He's done the same in loads of games, and I feel really bad for him because he's probably just going to get remembered for that unfortunate error last week with the back pass. Yeah,
it's all you're going to see about Alex Palmer after the season is done and dusted. Anything anyone remembers is unfortunately going to be that.
Yeah, it is. Okay, let's touch on Arsenal Brentford as well because I think we've gone quite long in our roundup. But I think it's safe to say Brentford just being awkward Brentford again. Like they're not giving teams easy games. They're basically putting you not putting you to the sword, but making you work to get anything against them. So what did you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, as you say, Brentford being awkward, they hung around against Arsenal. They never stopped. They never got their heads down. They just was going to keep trying. And I suppose when you've got two players who've reached 15 goals for this season in Embuemo and Vissa, you're always in with a chance. So you keep it tight. One of them is going to have an opportunity, and obviously Vissa gets the goal with a sort of like bit of a 6 yard poacher's finish. That was quite nice. But one player that I do have to shout out in this match was Michael Kayode, who I wasn't too aware of before the match, but he came on late as a substitute for Christopher Ayer, so playing in that right back spot for Brentford, and he had two incredible impacts in the last sort of 20 minutes. So he makes the cross that leads to the Vissa goal. Obviously, it gets knocked back into Vissa, but the original cross comes from Coyote overlapping. I think it was Mbuemo, and getting that cross in, and then late on he after an error from Flecken where Saka is in for Arsenal, almost got a free goal to shoot at. Coyote comes around and makes a tackle on him and puts him off just enough that he can't get the shot away onto a free goal without a goalkeeper in it. So yeah, just really want to shout him out. He's a 20-year-old Italian on loan from Fiorentina at the moment. So I think an interesting one for Brentford if they keep him around, especially, or see what they get from him towards the end of the season, and might be someone for the future.
Yeah, I have to keep an eye out for him as well. I was going to say my main takeaway from it as well is that Norgard. Do you think it was a red card? I thought it would have been a bit harsh, maybe, to be a red card. Am I being a bit?
I feel like it was an orange card. Like
Yeah.
it was on the edge. I think it's one of those that I wonder if it being early-ish in the match, like 20, I think it was around 28-minute mark sort of thing. If that's maybe like giving him a bit of leeway, going, oh, I don't know whether I want to give a red this early, but it's a bit reckless from Norgard, like just sort of like jumping in, and he does make contact. So yeah, I think Brentford maybe got away with one there with Norgard.
Yeah, it's kind of nice seeing Arsenal getting a decision. But yeah, cool. Okay, let's round that part of the pod off there, and we'll be back with the Pete Barclays man for the week. Okay, and we're back. So, Tom, who do you have for us as the Pete Barclays man for us this week?
So I want to take you back to the mid noughties and Blackburn Rovers, a little Norwegian winger by the name of Morten Gamst Pedersen.
Mate, absolute baller. That is probably one of the peak Barclaysmen that we could have chose a good place to start. What stats do you have for him on me?
So Premier League stats for Morten Gamst Pedersen. He played 259 league appearances, all for Blackburn Rovers, and he scored 34 goals with 39 assists in that time. So a decent return for a winger who played sometimes as a 10, but mainly people know him off the wing. And I think there's some of the things that people know him for are the absolute bangers he scored in that. Those 34 goals are a lot of them are memorable ones.
Screamers, aren't there? I can remember free kicks, volleys. I think one of the most memorable ones is back post against Fulham, where he's like coming in from way out, and it's like a ball from halfway line.
A goal of the month winner, and that one there are similar versions of it. That's probably the most impressive, like back post volley, but there are similar versions of that, just all like dotted throughout his career. He was. For a similar back post volley, he was dubbed Van Gamsten after Marco Van Basten when he scored a goal for Norway that replicated the famous Van Basten strike from, I think it was Euro '88. But yeah, he was just absolutely leathering volleys. Like the way the ball came off his boot was peak Barclays, or some of the craziest free kicks, like the angles and stuff.
You got to think is look. You got the baggy Blackburn shirt. I'm not gonna lie, that Blackburn shirt for some reason always in my head. Always been
clean.
Quite cool.
It's
clean,
yeah.
Isn't it? Like even the sponsors they had on. I can't remember who it was. It was like the 24-hour one that they had on there. I could remember that one from it, and that's a banging shirt. That one, bleached blonde hair, like everything you need.
Yeah.
Adidas Predators, and then banging volleys. He fit that noughties footballer like
He looked
to
like
a T.
he looked like 2004, 2005 with his highlights and everything. Like he just sort of really looks like that sort of era. And he was at one point he was on the receiving end of a poke in the eye by Arteta. I'm not sure what Pedersen said to rile him up, but he got one in the eye for it.
But you know, he got a punch from Joey Barton as well. I mean, probably a lot of people have had that, but yeah, he
Yeah,
got
I was
what?
going to say that doesn't cut him out from anyone. Find 10 men on the street who got a punch from Joey Barton. Like,
But it's stuff like that. You can just tell that that's why Blackburn fans must have him up there as like one of the cult heroes and like
yeah,
absolute.
I was
Or
reading up on him, and he was in and out of the team. But like he originally signed to replace Damien Duff, who went off to Chelsea, which big boots to fill, like a decent, very decent player. And he sort of like came in and out of the team, and then I think when Sam Allardyce took charge, he really Gams Pedersen solidified himself as a peak Barclaysman under Allardyce, and yeah, and in his personal life, apparently, I couldn't find any recording or detail about this, but he apparently fronts a Norwegian boy band called The Players with
no way.
four other footballers. I was desperately trying to search YouTube for some footage of them or a record somewhere, but unfortunately I couldn't. But we'll
That's
maybe that
unbelievable.
exists.
Bet we gotta find that somewhere. There's another bit I was reading up on him. So I didn't realise he stayed with Blackburn for their first year back in the
Yeah,
Championship when they went down, and he was ready to stay there because he was happy with regular game time and getting everything he wanted. But they basically asked him to leave because they needed to trim the wage bill, and
yeah. I
that's
mean,
just
Blackburn were a mess by that point.
yeah.
They a shadow of the former club that had sort of been one of the real bright sparks of the Premier League, and obviously won it in the '90s, and were sort of a solid Premier League performer in the noughties. And then yeah, once they got relegated and that ownership, and yeah, but fair on get Pedersen for staying for that season, and then yeah,
That's all you can ask for as a fan, really, isn't it? Like, absolutely. I remember we had AJ for the one season we came down after 0405, and he's another one in my head that's like noughties football to me. But what I keep saying it, but I'll make a little table for our peak Barclaysmen, and we'll create some ranking system. But I feel
yeah,
like Morton
definitely.
Camps would be pretty near the top of it for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll give our Pete Barclays this week to Morton Gams Pedersen.
Okay, so yeah, let's look into some predictions for next week. I know we got a few midweek games to look into, but I guess let's start with Brentford Brighton. How do you feel about that one? I feel like Brighton are probably the only ones to have something to play for in this. Would you say?
Yeah, but I think neither team are in form, so this one's got draw all over it for me. I'd probably say 1-1.
Yeah, I could probably see a draw. I might even go for 0-0 in all honesty, mate, for that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, then Palace. I guess Palace we have Newcastle in the week, and then Bournemouth on the weekend. Newcastle, I'm seeing nothing but a loss for us. In all honesty, at Newcastle, I could see it even being another drubbing. So I can see maybe 3-0 Newcastle, but then come back strong against Bournemouth on the weekend and get maybe a 2-1. What are your feelings towards that?
yeah. I think the way Newcastle are playing, that's got 2-0 Newcastle written all over it. And I think Palace Bournemouth, yeah, I think at home Palace should edge that. So I'll say 3-1 Palace at home.
Hey, I'm liking that. Cool. And then moving on to Everton, Man City. This is one where I want to be like, yep, City are back in form. They're going to start wiping people over. But I think Moyes at Goodison, he's gonna be
The third
formidable,
last
isn't he?
game at Goodison, like
Yeah.
Everton have like they're not in bad form. They've sort of won on the weekend after a load of draws. I think they can get a point. I think it could be another nil. I think it could be 0-0. I think they can keep City out.
Mate, I can see him beating City. Like, I've been that atmosphere, and it's just going to go up and up and up. The last game now, the atmosphere is going to be incredible. The fans are
Oh
going to be
yeah,
incredible. So
I'm so glad West Ham aren't playing in that last game.
yeah, well, I had to go there for when they came back from 2-0 down at half time to be as
Mm,
3-2 and stay up. And well, I was covered in blue by the end of that game because of all the flares. It was incredible. But yeah, I'm going to go for Everton and win myself there. West Ham, Southampton, how are you feeling about that?
this this has banana peel written all over it for West Ham. We've got nothing to play for. Saints are relegated. Home game against relegated team. But after all that, I do try and be optimistic about my team, so I am gonna back the boys and go 2-0 West Ham.
Oh, I think Southampton are gonna get over the line with that unwanted record and probably get a point. If I'm being honest with you, mate. Yeah, I can see. Oh, I don't know. If you score early, I can see you running away with it with Bowen and Kudos, like all doing their bits. But I can see.
You're absolutely right to be trepidation about this because this has got Saints 1-0. They get rid of Derby's records, then they can just.
But for Potter, this is a game that he just can't surely lose because that's an atmosphere changer for the rest of the season very quickly, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a game West Ham have to win, despite
Yeah.
having absolutely nothing to play for except for pride.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, then Villa Newcastle. That's quite a big game for the weekend, isn't it? I
It's
mean,
a very big game for Champions League race. I think. I mean, personally, I think it's going to be a really exciting back and forth. I'm going for the old Desmond Tutu with this one.
nice. I love that. I don't know if it depends on what happens midweek for Villa. I don't know if they put in a massive shift against PSG, get past that, and then have nothing ready for Newcastle, or if they lose that and then bounce back. Or like, for some reason, no, this is really hard for me. I'm gonna go 2-3 Newcastle.
2-3
I
Newcastle.
think there'll be goals in it at least, but yeah. Then we go to a South West London derby with Fulham Chelsea. Once again, I'm clueless with this one. I think Fulham at home could
Well,
turn up
yeah.
and turn them over. I'm going to go Fulham 2-0. Fuck it. What about
Oof.
yourself?
Well, it's inconsistent Fulham, isn't it? But they lost against Bournemouth, so I'm going to have them to bounce back with a 2-1 win over Chelsea.
So then moving on to Ipswich Arsenal. Yeah, I think this could be. What's funny is this could be the capitulation for Arsenal and Ipswich taking full advantage of it, which I'd probably love to see, but I'm not confident with that. I think it's probably going to be an Arsenal 2-0.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ipswich fans. This feels like a real tough one with Arsenal bouncing. So unfortunately, I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm going to match you and go 2-0 Arsenal. Unfortunately.
Nice. Then United Wolves. I think this is my lock in of the week. Wolves win. Like I'm going
Yeah,
for 3-1 Wolves. I reckon. Just yeah. I don't want to go into touch on United too much, but with the Europa League in the week and then just Wolves being shit hot right now. Yeah, I'd put that in. What about yourself?
yeah. I'm gonna back Wolves to make it 5 wins on the bounce and have them. I think they'll go 3-2. I think they'll concede a couple, but have enough in attack to get that fifth win.
Yeah. Then ultimate game Leicester Liverpool. Yeah. How do you think about that?
Again, same sort of thing I said for Ipswich. I sort of feel like this is going to be a tough ask for Leicester with sort of Liverpool having nothing else to play for now except for just wrapping up the title, which I think mathematically they might be able to do this weekend. So that might be a tough one for a tough Easter for Leicester fans. I'm going to say Liverpool 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going for Liverpool away as well. I don't know why, but we play Arsenal midweek next week, and I want that to be the game that they mathematically lose the title on. So yeah, I need Liverpool to win that one if I'm being honest. So probably a 3-0 if I'm being brutally honest. But hopefully Leicester can show the better form that they showed this week. And then the final game of the weekend, Spurs Forest. I mean,
Yeah, I think
how
this will be my lock of the week. I think Forest have got the perfect opposite like style of play to take advantage of Spurs. I think I'm going to go for a 2-0 Forest win.
yeah, if Langer's back, I'm thinking they're probably doing a big win here and again Ange in even more trouble than he is. I could see complete capitulations for Spurs and maybe like a 5-1. Like,
Oof.
well, you saw him do it to Brighton 7-0. So why can't they do
They've
it
got it
to?
in their tank.
Yeah, and like you say, they're like the perfect opposition for a style. So you never know. So I guess yeah, those are all our predictions for early on in the week. So it might all change when the teams come out. But yeah, we'll put a little bit up in socials to see how we did compared to what actually happens. But yeah, what about your weekend? Are you off to the game?
Yeah, we've got the Southampton game on Saturday, so yeah, that and moving is really most of my Easter plans. What about you, mate?
Yeah, I'm not off to Newcastle in the week because that's one bridge too far. I do love going up there, but I think convincing work and my missus that I'm going to go up to Newcastle isn't going to go down very well, so I gave that one a miss. But yeah, I'll be at Bournemouth on Saturday, so hopefully hopefully both of us can get a bit up on the socials for that and give everyone a look inside what a day of the football is like for us. And yeah, if you want to follow us on those socials, we're on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky at Other14FC Podcast. And if you want to write in and give us any of your thoughts or just looking for someone to talk to, it's the Other14FC Podcast at gmail.com. So yeah, Tom, any last thoughts for the weekend before we go?
No, I think we've said it all. It was had a great chat.
Nice, cool. Okay, well, we'll round it off then. We'll catch all you guys next week. Cool.
See ya.
See ya. Bye.